Team Oliveira spoke up. Boy, did they cut a promo. They're talking about if he rematches to Oliveira, rematches with Islam, how it's going to be different, that he's proven it, that he's shown it, that he's got the hunger, that he came back. Went after Benny like he was fired out of a cannon. Now, why do I like that? I like it because there's not a word of it that's true. And you fell for it. You just watched him fight Benny. You just saw that with your own eyes. You don't have any idea what happened in that fight. Oh, yes, I do, Chael. I know exactly what happened. Okay, great. Who landed more right hands? Who landed more left hands? I mean, you got a couple of arms and a couple of legs. So I'm going to, who landed more hands? Who landed more kicks? How many outside leg kicks did Benny land? How many did he defend? You get the foggiest idea, any of those things. And that's just why I like it. I mean, I have heard, and this is coming from media too, about how Oliveira proved, how Oliveira showed. And then I hear the mean stuff too, which just always happens when you've got some stud, he finally gets beat. They all finally get beat. Benny was never that good to start with, right? You guys have seen that too. And maybe you've even voiced it. Now, the reality of what you saw is had Benny not been knocked out and they stopped the fight at that moment, Benny would have won. That was not an Oliveira ass kicking. That wasn't Oliveira controlling range and pushing the pace and Benny out of it. Benny was winning the fight. I get that not a lot happened. I'm not suggesting it did. But if you're suggesting he was fired out of a cannon and reminded the whole world, I'm not going to tell you wrong. I'm going to tell you good job. That's exactly what you do. That's exactly how you handle these things. And I don't usually see them get it right. I appreciated that they got it right. They are in a fight right now. They're in a fight to go out there and get a #1 contendership. That hasn't been given to them. Now, guys, it takes me about 40 minutes to get these things edited and turned around to you guys. And I only say that because there's allegedly a matchmaker meeting going on right now. So you might get a tweet somewhere, and this has changed somewhere in the next 40 minutes. But I do want to make this point to you because there's still ways to handle things. And if things go your way, you're never going to understand that. I had a teammate. Oh, I love this guy. I got to protect his name. He doesn't always like when I talk about him. But I looked up to him. And he made all sorts of money. Oh, my God, this guy was making money. He did everything wrong. He could not promote a fight. He could not bring interest. He could not cut a promo. But he also didn't even understand why you would. He has no idea why you would have to be able to do an interview to make money. Because it's not what happened with him. It's not that way at all. And he made tons of it. Chuck Liddell had a very hard time with the entertainment era. And I know for a period of time he held it against me directly. I don't know that it still is. I think Chuck and I are fine. I like Chuck. I hope he likes me. He was very nice to my mother one time. Very nice to my mother in a green room. I like Chuck, but he doesn't like that about me. He doesn't like the entertainment era. He doesn't like what I left behind. And the reason for it is he missed it. He missed the entertainment era. He didn't have to do any of those things. And was able to sell out arenas and be the biggest pay-per-view draw and make stacks of money, right? So it's one of those things where it can be a little bit difficult to convince somebody. And I share that with you because sometimes it goes Chuck's way. Sometimes it goes my teammates' way. And all these things are here even though you're not doing it the way that you're supposed to go. Sometimes you'll become a #1 contender. But it's not because you earned it or you did something or you did everything right. It's because the two other guys we're looking at bombed. They screwed it up. Jamal Hill would just be a great example because it's the most recent. Jamal Hill did not train for a world title fight. He didn't sign a contract for a world title fight. And it wasn't announced he was doing a world title fight because he wasn't even considered. In fact, the match that he was supposed to do, he was never mentioned for #1 contendership. His opponent, Lionheart, said, if I beat Jamal, I will be the #1 contender. And a lot of people listened, but nobody in any make-believe universe said that was going to go both ways. Jamal was not only not discussed for a world title fight, he wasn't one step away. He wasn't even a number one contenders match. He is now the world champion. How did that happen? Right? How did that happen? So, I'm going to Charles Oliveira. And he has a fight that we believe is the number one contenders fight. He won the fight. He finished the fight. Everything right. You got to finish the guy. And he did. He did it all. And he wasn't named the number one contender. Now, the match that is being looked at to ruin the party here for Oliveira is not only a period of time away, but it's with two guys that have one thing in common, which is they both got finished by Charles Oliveira. So, on one hand, we have Oliveira's team reworking what happened on Saturday. For what little match that was, Benny was winning it. They've reworked it, which was very smart of them to do, and you guys fell for it, by the way. They reworked it. But when you have an actual case of reality, which is I'm being potentially glossed over for Gaethje, who I submitted right after I knocked him out, and Poirier, who I submitted faster than Khabib did. The only two things these guys have in common, the reason they're fighting for the BMF belt and not the undisputed belt is because I smoked them both and I'm going to go fight for the BMF belt. That would just be true. That would just be the truth. And if you're in Oliveira's spot and you don't understand crystal clear that you are in a dogfight right now, if you don't understand the problems that you have with going out and beating Benny, by the way, not getting damaged, by the way, finishing him, by the way, fast, and you're still not named the number one contender for two guys that you finished. I mean, do you not see the problem? Do you not see where you need to wake up and you need to be aware? Now, I don't think that he is. And moreover, I think that Charles is going to get the fight. So it's just going to be one of those situations, right? How would I ever convince Charles this is what you need to do? When he doesn't do it, it all keeps going his way. It's a tough spot. It's an interesting position. But for a guy whose team has reworked reality from 3 days, for them to not then use the benefits of reality and his own resume, for me, is weird.